Good morning. Welcome once again to our morning devotions and daily meditations on the words of God. Today is December 27, 2022. It's a Tuesday. So in a few more days, we'll be ending and bidding goodbye to this year, and we'll be facing another new year. So to be again relevant to the season, we still look on the birth narrative of Yeshua, Mashiach. And our devotion this morning can be found in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to verse number 12. And I read in chapter 2, verse 1, Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. So some of the points that we need to look here on verse number 1 on the birth narrative according to the Gospel of Matthew, that Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea. So he is a Jewish king. In the days of Herod was still alive, because some would date the death of Herod as 4 BC. So that would negate the proposal that Jesus Christ was born on a 3 BC if Herod died on a 4 BC. So Herod was still alive. Herod the king. Remember, Herod is not a proper name but a title. Behold, there came wise men. So wise men should have been, in the Greek is magoi or magi. So this should have been translated as magais or magis, the plural form of magus. So who are they? So there are many things that that is said about them, debated upon whether who are these men. But from the text itself, it reveals that they are magis, no? Not wise men o tatlong hari, no? Hindi sinabing hari. So they are wise men because they are magis because for the simple reason that when they get the audience of Herod, they ask Herod, where is he that is born king of the Jews? So that is very unwise of them. So they are magis from the east. So east of what? The point of reference is Jerusalem. So they are east of Jerusalem. So Babylon, Mesopotamia, are they Nabateans? Are they Gentiles or are they Greek? So there are many proposals from the text, but from the text it tells us that they are from the east. So the place of Mesopotamia or Babylon, the Mid-Parthian Empire. And so those are some of the important points that we the important point is that they saw this star. So they are astrologers, not in the negative sense of the word as we understand them in our times. So that is what is significant with these magis. They were watching the heavens, the stars. They are our modern day equivalent of astronomers and astrologers, not in the negative sense of the word. Verse number 2, saying, Where is he that is born king of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east. So we all know that they are from the east, but to paraphrase verse number 2, what the Magi saw is that they saw the star rising from the east. So all stars, all heavenly creatures, all heavenly creatures, heavenly things that we could see in heaven rise from the east. So we have seen his star rising from the east and are come to worship him. Verse number 3, when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Why is that? Why was when Herod is troubled, all Jerusalem is troubled? Why is that? Because there has been already a precedent of this incident. That's why Jerusalem was all troubled, and Herod the king. Remember that Herod was not a Jew, but he was a Edomian from Edomite. He was an Edomite. We look back into the Maccabean days, that during the Maccabean period, when they invaded Edom, they forced convert all the Edomites. So one of them is the family of Herod. And there was a prophecy by that time that Herod would be the Messiah. So that's why he wanted that title, King of the Jews. So the Magi asked this question, where is he that's born King of the Jews? But there's a king. I am the king. And who are you referring to? So one thing we notice here is that they had an audience with Herod, these Magi's. They are not just three, but they traveled by caravans. There are many of them, and some would suggest that they had even brought an army along with them. Why? Because they are bearing, or they are bringing precious commodities such as gold, myrrh, and frankincense. So it would be very dangerous for them to travel to trek that desert if there are only just three. If there are only three of them. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea. Tama ang sagot ng mga religious leaders of Jerusalem. For thus it is written by the prophet, that is the prophet Micah, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah. So this is the recoltation of the writer on the prophet Micah. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what the time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star. Again, that is one thing significant with these visitors. We noticed that there was a newborn king, and he is the king of the Jews, and that the star appeared on a specific time. And one thing significant also, that Herod does not know about it. What kind of star would this be? That would be on our succeeding study regarding this Magi's and the star that they have seen. Herod does not know when the star appeared, and that the star appears to be moving, and the star stopped. So those are some of the important details and points that we need to take note on. And what they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child. So again, in the birth narrative, the only visitors that came upon the very birth of Mary with the Messiah, the Lord Jesus Christ, was the shepherds, the temple shepherds. They were in the place where the Passover lambs are birthed and taken care of, in the very place. So we find here that they were no longer there in the manger, in the Migdal Eder, the tower of the flock, but rather they are already in the house. We saw that in verse number 11, and when they were come into the house, so they were no longer in the tower of the flock. They saw the young child, the child Jesus Christ was already. So from the time that the Magi saw the star from the east, from Babylon or from Mesopotamia, they were from the east. So once they saw this star, what is the significance of this, or what is the movement that is happening in the heavens, in the sky, which was created by God? As David would say in Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God. In the book of Genesis chapter 1, they were created for a sign. So these are Magi's. They were watching, they were looking on the skies. They were astrologers, not in the negative sense of the word. And probably they were one historian would say that there's an Eastern school there in Babylon, and probably from the looks of it, from history, we know that the Jews were captives by the Babylonians, and one of the prominent person that was captive was Daniel. So Daniel remained there while the Jews went back. He remained there and died there. So probably Daniel started that Eastern school wherein the Magi's, he became the head of the Magi's when Daniel was brought there in the time of Nebuchadnezzar there in Babylon. When they were coming to the house, they saw the young child. The child, Jesus Christ, was already young. So when the Magi saw the star, so it would took them how many months to travel. Maybe Jesus Christ was already 1 year old or more than 1 year old when the Magi visited him. Verse 11, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented to him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. So these are gifts fitted for a king. So there's a newborn king. The Gentiles, or whether they are Gentiles or Jews, they were the first one to pay homage and brought gifts to this newborn king of the Jews. And being one of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own way, in their own country, another way. That is verse number 12 of Matthew chapter number 2. So one of the important things that we need to take note on the Magi, they are famous for that star. So we would be looking onto that in our next broadcast. So the visit of the Magi, what is so significant about this visit is that they took the knowledge of the signs that is in the stars. So that is very important. No, they were astrologers in their time, not in the negative. Again, I as always emphasize that that is not in the negative sense of the word. So they took knowledge of the stars, of the signs, of the signs of the stars. They were all everything in this world was created by God, but they were perverted by the adversary. So it's important not only to look down, not to look only on the horizon, not only to look on our present situation, on the things that is happening around us in this world, but rather we are being pointed also and being reminded by the Magi's that the stars, the heavens, it declares the glory of God. And another important thing that the Magi did is that they took their time. So not only that they took knowledge of the stars, they spent their time, they traveled, and they brought treasures. So they spent their time traveling how many months or weeks or years. Just this has been the prophecy foretold to them by Daniel, as prophesied by Balaam in the book of Exodus. Not only that they noticed it, they took their time, they packed their bags, and they traveled. They took action. Not only that we have the knowledge, the information, but we should took knowledge, took action to the things that we have known. They took their action, they packed their bags, they traveled. Not only that, they have their time, they traveled, took action, but they brought treasure. That is what is important. Hindi nagregalo sila sa isa't isa when they visited the Magi's. When the Magi's visited Yeshua, hindi sila nagregaluhan sa isa't isa, but rather they brought that gift that is fitted for the king, and they gave it to the Lord Jesus Christ. So those are some of the things that we need to ponder upon, to meditate upon, to perpend regarding the season that we are into. They took knowledge of the stars, the heavenly signs. We should not only be concerned looking down the things that is happening around us, but the heavens declare the glory of God. They have their time. We should not neglect time that we must spend a day, hallowing a day, in worshiping and acknowledging and meditating the God of Israel. And not only that, they traveled, distance would not be a problem for us even today, but to their time, and yet they took the time and they traveled and they brought treasure. So sa madaling sabi, let us took knowledge, let us ponder upon the lives of these Magi's. Are we taking knowledge of the signs in the heavens? Are we still having that time and day of rest, of meditating and worshiping our God? And then they took the time, they traveled, and they brought in their treasures. So, sabi nga, what good is our wealth when the Messiah would be coming? What is the purpose? What is the importance of our wealth if Jesus Christ would be coming today? So, sa madaling sabi, as we have celebrated, as we are still in this season, let us not also forget the example, the story of the Magi's in this birth narrative of the Lord Jesus Christ. We need to take the knowledge, we need to take time, we need to travel. Distance is not a problem. Wherever the Lord leads us, let us go, and we must give our treasure. So, nawa itong mga salita na ito, mga Magi's, ay manatili sa atin at pag-isipan natin, i-meditate natin sa araw na ito. At ito'y magsilbing aral sa bawat isa sa atin. Ano po? So marami pong salamat at pagpalain tayo ng ating Panginoon.